Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today it's part 5 of them all. Whoop whoop! So this is what we've done so far, and these are the parts that I'm going to be using today to do a wonderful mobile phone shop. I'm excited. So let's get started with just one amendment from last time. Good. Well, this is the Nyan Cat mural that we did last time, and that was very popular, so that's nice to hear. I've disconnected from the rest of the build just for today, so we can move this around a bit more easily. So this base plate is temporary, but it's right next to the one amendment I did decide to do, which was changing the colour of the top and bottom of this drain pipe from the original where I had it as light grey. And that's just to differentiate it from the bit that is making up part of Nyan Cat's face. So I could have done this white, a lot of suggestions were for that, but when I tried that, it really blended into the wall and didn't look that fantastic. I mean, it kind of stopped looking like a drain pipe, really. So the next one I tried, which other people suggested, was the dark grey, and that has worked rather well because it's got that original sort of plastic drain pipe look that I was going for, but still the face shows up even better now. So I think that's a fantastic suggestion. So if you said that, here is your bedoing. Now, there are other suggestions that I did quite like having a skip out here and maybe having some cats actually looking at the mural in a quizzical way. But I think I'm going to wait until this is in place next to the railway line and the monorail line and all that before I do more scenes on the back. But I've written them down, so we might be doing them in the future. Now, for today's build, I'm going to be doing a mobile phone shop, as I say, and I'm going to have that right at this end, and it's going to be right to the edge of this base plate. So it's going to be a footprint here, so this door will be going into it. So it's going to be kind of hard to show you, but yeah, it's going to be about here. So let's start, as always, with that tile level, and maybe the first sort of level of brick, so we can see what we're working with. Oh, it's starting to come together already, with the tiles in place in this lovely light bright yellow and white checked. I really like that. Looks very good. I've got some grey ones on the outside because this is going to meet up with the road plate that will be going along here with the regular pavement. So the employee can get into the back door with a tread plate sticker outside, of course. Then on the inside, well, you're starting to see the outline of the next door that we'll probably do next time, and that will be shelving on the inside of that one because they share a wall. And you can start to see the double wall here that's going to be blocking off the mural from the inside perspective because we don't want that shining through. Lots of jumper plates, as you'd expect, for all of the stuff that's going on the inside. And then I decided to do the wall, kind of the windows, I suppose, for the shop door and so on the half stud, i.e. sort of halfway between the two normal stud connections using this row of jumper plates. And that was so there'll be a tiny bit of these tiles sticking out of the outside, because what I've always wanted to do with one of my shops, but never got round to it, was have a roller blind, like a security shutter, come down like they do in some of these stores when they've got high value goods on the inside, and it come down to sort of, well, secure the shop when it is closed. So that is effectively the line that the security shutter is going to come down on. So therefore I had to kind of recess the windows by that half stud to make it look realistic, so there's enough space. So that's what I'm hoping will work later on. So I think the next stage is to do these two full walls, and I'm going to have them, well, like any mobile phone shop really, absolutely packed and stacked, full of goods. All these different telephones that I've collected from all sorts of different sets. Some technically aren't phones, but maybe they sound like they could be. Darks, Razor, and things like that. Maybe they're just phones in boxes or something like that. That isn't a phone. So anyway, lots to choose from there. So they'll be all on racks around the walls. And I'm also going to try and incorporate this brand new, for me anyway, Duplo telephone, which is absolutely amazing, isn't it? I got that on my latest brick haul, and that came in the set 10834 Duplo Pizzeria from 2017. And I reckon I can make it into a sort of, well, kind of display sign, really. I mean, I could have used it as a massive 3D sign on the outside of the building, but I've got another one of those planned. I could have used it as a 3D sign on the outside wall as well here, but I've got another thing planned there as well. So basically, there'll be loads of huge 3D sort of sale signs in this. And this one I think I'll have on this big wall here. Okay, so we've got the two walls in and a bit more filled in the corner to hide the mural. And this wall has got absolutely loads of modified bricks on it already, on the outside, inside, and we're about to add even more by adding 3 of these columns. And on each of these sets of 4 studs, I'm going to put the bottom 2 being covered by a panel piece, which will represent a shelf. That's how I usually do them. Very simple build. And I can start adding all of those phones that I've got in my collection, some with 1x2 plates behind to suggest that there's more than one stacked on a shelf. And there's 2 Superman ones and 1 Batman or Batgirl themed one there as well. So that's a good array of colour already that can slot into that section there. Very nice. And then just to save time, I've pre-done 2 more sets of shelves. There's that dark one, a pink one, some kiddie phones at the top. Maybe they should be on the bottom shelf, but I do like the look of them. They're very silly. Then I've got another shelf here with some razors, black one, and these hidden side ones as well. So maybe that's a different brand. And that can all slot in there. And already it's looking pretty packed and stacked. Lots of selection for a phone there. I'm going to pin all of those brick sections in with this long brick here. And on these 3 modified bricks here, and on these 3 on the outside, I want to add some phone brands. So maybe this is a section of phones available from one manufacturer, another one, and another one. And I was looking through all the stickers in my collection that I've been collecting that might be relevant. And I've got 3 different ones that I think could be brands. One is Vodafone, which is of course a real life brand for phones, so that makes a lot of sense. That came with the Ferrari F1 Racer 8362, and I've got quite a few of those to use, so that's good. Another one is going to require some sticker surgery actually, because it's just the middle section, the tele bit, or tele, or whatever it might be, from this sticker that came from the bike transporter 60084, and I've got quite a few of those as well, so that's going to require scissors and the movement of the sticker. And then there's these ones, which I've also got quite a few of, which say mobile phone. They don't really say a brand name, but maybe this sort of swoosh on either side is their logo, and it's well known in my city. So there's 3, and they're all based on red, which is good, so they're kind of in the same colour scheme. None of them are on 1x2 tiles at the moment, but I can transfer them all onto 1x2 red tiles using my patented hot tea technique. Yes, and I may even use, as the mug for that, my brand new SSP mug. That might be quite good fun. Or I could use the official patented hot tea technique mug, which obviously does the job the best. But whichever one I use, there's plenty of selection and choice. So I'm going to have to do some minor sticker surgery on these, but definitely lots of hot tea technique to transfer them. Then I'm going to put those tiles up here and up here. I'm also going to add one onto this very blank wall as it currently stands. I've got a 1x6x5 panel there, and I thought I'd add even more Vodafone advertising just because I've got this great big panel. So I'll take that sticker off and put it on the middle of that piece. This bigger one comes from the Ferrari Finish Line set, a racer set from 2006. That's set 8672 in case you're interested. And that'll just go right on the middle of that above another display, and I think look rather good on that back wall. Which leads us to our final sort of section in the back, which is where I think I'm going to be mounting my Duplo phone as kind of a 3D sail display type piece. I think it looks really funny outsized like that, and because it's a Duplo piece, you can see all the detail from quite a distance, so it works quite well in that back corner. So I think to attach this, I'm going to just temporarily remove this entire wall just to show you, because the attachments on this aren't very simple at all. Usually Duplo pieces do connect in some way with system, but this one really doesn't, and the bar piece is much too wide for bar connections in system as well. So I've had to come up with this technique, which is essentially a 2x3 tile which can slide underneath that handle, and then with the 2 1x2 plates on either side kind of hold it in place. And if I push them onto this wall and give it a bit of encouragement to pin it onto the wall, you'll see that when I align it nicely, it fits well. Maybe that little black bit that we can see there is an on-off button or something like that, and it isn't wobbling around. So I think that completes that wall and makes it look like a really good kind of display piece that they would have in a mobile phone shop. Right, So that's cool. I think it'll look even better when it's got all these brands on the top and down here and on the other ends. So I'm going to get on with moving all of these wonderful stickers onto the right pieces. All right, so stickers successfully moved with this one on the back wall, looking very good. And all of these on 1x2 tiles now. So I've got 4 tellies, 4 mobile phones and 4 Vodafones. So that's good. So I'm going to put some vertically on the outside wall. So we've got some street advertising and they'll have to go vertically, I suppose. And I'll have the yellow one in the middle for a bit of contrast, I think. So maybe it'll go in that order. Does that look good? Maybe we need a Vodafone on the top because it's slightly smaller text. There we go. Right, so that means I'll keep that order on the inside, which means these are Vodaphones, would you believe? These are telephones, and these are the brand mobile phone. Aha! Wow, that looks really good, doesn't it? I really like that. And I'm going to use the other pair of these, one down the other side of the door and one on this wall facing away from us as well. So we'll have this all over the place, but that's looking great. Now for the back wall lower section, I wanted to have a display as well, another one. I'm just doing a very simple bench setup to hold this piece, which is a 2x4 oversized mobile phone. I'm not sure if this is a sort of display model, maybe that's demonstrating some of the features or just a video screen showing you what you could buy. But anyway, this piece is from the set 70838, Queen Whatever's Not So Evil Space Palace from 2019. A Lego movie set, of course. Second one, I think, wasn't it? Yep, there we go. So that can go right at the back there. So yeah, you kind of need bigger things towards the back when it's such a small space, because otherwise they'll just vanish into the distance. So there we go, that's there. Then this is the guy's desk, the guy who'll be working here, just with a simple till and a few more phones all stacked up in boxes on that. So that can go there. And he'll be working behind there, but they kind of mill around in this sort of store and you can kind of go anywhere, don't they? But wow, this is already looking absolutely jam-packed full. So that is great. So next I'm going to do this wall, and it's going to kind of be double-sided as well, in that we're going to have loads of phone displays on the inside, but on the outside I wanted a massive 3D sign, which will even outweigh the one that's above the door. And this massive 3D sign I thought would be really fun to make as, well, a massive mobile phone. So it's kind of a sub-build I could have done as a separate video, arguably, but yeah, I'm going to do a realistic sized and shaped mobile phone, and then that can go there, and on the other side at the same time we'll have more displays for merchandise. Cool. Okay, so this 3D sign is the reason why the Nyan Cat mural only goes up to here, because it's going to take out the rest of this side wall and we'll be able to see it really prominently over that level crossing from the first standing hole. So that's why I really wanted to make a feature of the end of this bit of wall, because it'll be very visible in my city. So if that's where it's going to go, we're going to have to make it double thickness again, 1 brick width facing the inside effectively for the display, and then the mobile phone being 3D kind of hanging on the outside of the wall like it was screwed on. So that's where it's going to go. I'm just going to push this to one side so we've got a bit more space to build. Good. Now this phone build is incredibly complicated. You can see how many different brackets and plates and modified bricks and tiles and so on that are in this setup, just so we've got the required attachments facing the inside of the store and the outside of the 3D phone, where I can put icons on to represent all of the apps and so on that make up a mobile phone screen. Of course, I've even got a silver modified plate on the top there, just to represent the small bit of speaker that will be visible through a tiny gap at the top there. So yeah, this is going to be incredibly fragile. I'm probably going to break it about 5 times in building it and putting it together until it's held in place, where it's sort of clamped by all sorts of bricks on different directions. It's very hard to explain, really. So this will be the next column of icons from the front of the screen, and the reason why I've got these tiles in between these 2 sections and these modified plates with the slide is just so there's a very small black kind of gap in between all of your apps, because you don't have them absolutely overlapping with our icons. Of course, there's a small distance between them. So yes, very much an attention to detail here. And this will be our first side of the phone casing, with a very small hole here for the microphone. There is the camera lens. So I'm going to have to put this on to here, and it's going to probably get even more fragile before it gets any stronger. Let's see if I can do this without completely smashing it up and catapulting pieces. So there we go. Careful. So here's the third side with the side already attached. And you can see that this bit, the phone bit, is going to be the half that's hanging outside the wall, and this is going to be the bit that's attached into the wall. So hopefully when I add this on as well, it gets a bit of strength and starts to look a little bit like a phone. Now it's a little bit short and squat. It probably should be slightly longer in proportion if it was to be accurate, but if it's too long, it's going to span about 2 floors. So essentially that's what I'm going for. And you can see that microphone detail there. You can see it's moving around while it's not clamped in place. And you can see the tiny bit of silver in that gap there as well for the speaker and the lens there. So if I bring back our building, I can now actually attach this to there, and just to give it strength, because when it's pinned from the top, it will be a lot stronger. I'm just going to put in a section of wall, which I don't think is completely right, to be honest, but at least it will be right enough to hold it in place. So now it's not falling apart and is a lot stronger. It just needs that strength. So there we go. There is, and I haven't seen this before, so I really like that. There is our 3D mobile phone with that mural vanishing behind it. And I like the fact that it's proud with these tiles on the side. I mean, it's still moving a little bit when I squidge it, but I think I can live with that. But it doesn't look much like a phone without any icons on. So what I'm going to do is use a combination of 2x2 tiles from the video line that look the most appropriate to me. So that could be an app, and other ones like from the education set. So maybe Mission Moon is one of those games you play on your phone when you're bored. Maybe this is the alarm feature or something like that with a clock on it. Movies with this tile. Yeah, looks good. And already you can see it's starting to look more like a phone. Get this one on there. I've gone for a variety of different colours. Maybe that's a sensible email or work app or something like that. That looks fun. The man burping. You can't really not include that one, can you? Very nice. Boomtown Build. That sounds like a fun game that I wouldn't mind playing when I'm not doing Lego. Yep. And is it starting to look like a mobile phone now? Maybe that one's media. Lots of different headlines. A map app. So I'm just using a 2x2 genuine map tile for that one. And maybe that's a funny sound effects one or something like that with sirens that you can press. I don't know. There we go. But it's a really good contrast colour with that dark turquoise. So although it kind of looks like a black block with some pictures on it, I think also it's recognisable as a mobile phone, and it'll probably look even more so when we've got the rest of this build done. But I think it adds even more texture, kind of like we had the drain pipes earlier at this end and the door interrupting the mural, with this standing out on the other end. And you can see it's a lot more strong than it was when it was in bits. So there we go. So we've got one big phone on the inside, an even bigger one on the outside. And, well, we still haven't done the official 3D sign. So I guess what we should do next is, well, we're going to have to do the inside of this, aren't we? Because what we've been left with is all of these modified bricks and bracket pieces, giving us lots of attachment points for other stuff. So I guess we better finish that before we start closing in the store. Okay, well, the proper wall is in place now, so this phone is also well held in place and looking rather good. I've added more of the wall here to attach more of those brands on, and it'll be the same as the wall on the other side, which I've briefly removed just so we can see inside a little better at the inside. So I've added a clock here, the rest of the wall here. This tile level will actually be where the floor above sits. It's kind of weird with this double wall, but it will all be seamless by the end of it, I can assure you. I think you can believe me on that one. I've put a burglar alarm here for when the shutters are down, clock, and then the brands again along the display, with letter pieces upside down representing kind of information sheets, I suppose. And then you know, when you have the real life phones and are attached to an elastic cord so you can kind of hold them and look at them. And I've represented that using these modified bar pieces with that are usually used for the motion things in clear for DC characters and so on. And that can just be pushed on there very carefully. Well, it's a bit hard to do with all the others in place. And it will have them at a pleasing angle. There we go. Push that down. So that looks quite realistic as well. And another different angle that will be very visible from the outside. So yeah, I kind of like that. Now I should add a couple of people on the inside. And I figure this guy with his afro hair and his raised eyebrow can just be judging all the people who are picking phones. I always think that people in these shops do wear sort of partially undone ties and short-sleeved shirts, so I think he looks absolutely perfect. So let's have him behind the desk judging the choices of the people that are visiting. And then the person visiting here is, wow, staggered by the choice, basically, and he's got his ooh expression on, and he's got one potential choice in his hand. So I figured we'd have him on that jumper plate looking at the array of phones on offer. So that is the scene for the inside. Then I can add this great big section back. And one thing I'm going to have to do before I push it in too firmly is add that security shutter. So it's just two of these pieces in this nice contrasting yellow colour that I'm going to have in that section there. So there's only two of these bricks with the slider gap in them, and that's so it won't go down further than I want it. So when I push this all down, that is the security shutter. Yeah, bit hard to show you because this build is getting really big, but there you go. So underneath all of that, we can have the windows going on these jumper plates, as I said earlier. So there's one set there, and here's the second set with the door. And I thought that a phone, old style phone handset would be good as the handle. I could attach that directly to the glass without that 1x1 modified plate, but yeah, I kind of think that's all right. So that can go in the gap here, like that. Now, it's a bit unrealistic in the sense that when the shutter's down, it'll probably hit that handle, but I think I can live with that inconsistency because I think it looks really good. So there we go. That's going to be our view from the outside. And as I said right at the beginning, this shutter, when it was in the down position, would come to that join and therefore cover up the last bit of those tiles that is peeking out from the inside. And that will be the first bit of pavement. So I kind of like that look. You'll have to tell me what you think. But already, hopefully, very visually, this is already quite clearly a mobile phone shop. But what will make it absolutely abundantly clear is the 3D sign I'm about to add in a moment. And I may even consider adding a few of the other stickers that I had left over, like this small Vodafone one, and one more of these to maybe the glass of the windows, because we did that on the skate shop and it looked rather fantastic. Right, so that's all finished on that side. These bits hanging off are all going to link up with other sections of the mall, of course. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. We can see the scene on the inside and all that detail and stuff like that when we lift off the lid. So very good. Then we just need to finish off the section above the door, holding it all together. And this is another incredibly complicated build with all sorts of bracket pieces and so on. This is going to cover any mess from the inside of the rear of the security panel. And that can go into this position, filling up that space, looking very nice. So we've got the security shutter apparently appearing from behind this row of bracket pieces. In a up position, but looks like it could pull all the way down, and I really like that. That splash of yellow really actually ties in with a bit of the floor, but also these little logos here. So yeah, very good. So what is the actual sign above the door, the real 3D one? Well, basically, I thought it'd be a really good idea to have a 3D character in this area, somebody who we synonymize with making a phone call, maybe phoning home. Yep, that's E.T., of course, from the E.T. Fun Pack 71528, which was a dimension set from 2016. So I thought we could have him attached to this sign, and that's why he's got one of these bracket pieces making his neck even longer, so he can be pressed into the back of these two headlight bricks. So that's going to go there. But before I add that, also as part of that set was his phone. So I thought that would be a good idea to include a nice 3D phone in bright red. I've changed the cable that was a black whip piece for a red one, just because I think that stands out even more. And although it's a mobile phone shop, maybe it's got a lot of history of selling normal phones in the past as well, because it's been around for a long time. So anyway, it's a good logo, I think, especially with all this other stuff in red as well on the outside. And he can go, oh, right next to it, pressed in there, looking rather fantastic. So I'll put one arm down and one arm up, because I'm also going to really add even more interesting pieces by adding a Belleville phone as well. So this is actually a phone from all sorts of different Belleville sets in medium lime, which is quite an unusual colour as well. And the only way I could really get it into this build was to add it to ET's hand, and it's a very odd shape again, much like the Duplo one. It doesn't really fit anything, but it will go into a hand if done from the bottom up. So there we go. We've got ET as part of our 3D sign. We've got an old-fashioned telephone, a new modern telephone, and, well, probably it's a bit over the top, especially when you consider we've got a massive phone on that wall that will be visible from the first standing hole, and the Duplo phone on the inside, of course, which I can't really show you at the moment, but I think you'll agree this build is now very phony and very, very packed and stacked. Well, that's part 5 of our Mall series finished. I think you'll agree that's been quite a successful build. Our 4th retail unit with a packed and stacked interior, all of those phones on the inside, and the desk, displays, the Duplo phone, which I'm really glad we managed to incorporate, all of that stock on that wall, and then the back of the shutter there. But it's this big phone that's my favourite bit on the outside, closely followed by another very unusual feature, ET holding a Belleville phone. All this advertising. I did put one of the stickers on the outside. Yeah, so it's rather fantastic, very packed and stacked, very hard to see into unless you really lift off the lid and peer right inside. But, you know, that's the only way I know how to build. Oh, and I'm really glad I managed to get this security shutter feature on the inside here. It's little subtle sort of layers like this with a 3D sign, the shutter, and then the windows that make a build like this a lot more interesting. I think you'll agree. So as always, do tell me what you think by leaving a comment in the description. But thanks very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below, including to buy your own mug, of course. And then next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing a brick haul, and I've got a couple of subscriber packages to go through, as well as one of my own from bricklink.com. Then on Friday, we'll do another mock build. I'm really enjoying the 20,000 Bricks Under the Sea cabinet at the moment, so if you haven't checked out that series, do give it a try. And then on Monday, of course, we'll be back for another part of the mall. And I guess the next logical place to go would be to do this unit here, which will be good fun as well. So until all of that, see you! E.T. phone home.